Hey friends, welcome back to Season 3, Episode 12, Manifesting Abundance, Self-Love, and Magic. This week we are getting magical with my special guest, Odessa Christiana. Odessa is the vacation rental queen, a mind stylist extraordinaire, and dreampreneur. She is making magic all over the world by sharing her inspirational messages and encouraging others to do the same. Odessa is a woman that is rocking her hot pink tutu, has a pink backyard, and loves learning by listening to others and sharing her dreams with herself. One of my favorite practices that Odessa shares is about how to use the voice memo feature on your phone to really create a powerful and positive mindset. Odessa takes her message one step further by helping others feel the same electric inspiration. As she says, I have the power in me to inspire others to follow their dreams. I'm so glad she is my guest this week because I know she will inspire you. Let's dive in. Before we dive into this week's episode, a quick note from our sponsor. This week's episode of Sassy AF TV and the Sassy AF audio experience is brought to you by the Sassy Woman Sisterhood. If you are a woman seeking her tribe, looking for ideas to practice self-care, and needing a community that makes you feel like you belong, come join us on Facebook. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/mysassylife, or head over to the show notes for the link. We can't wait to meet you. Welcome back to another episode of Sassy AF TV and the Sassy AF audio experience. I'm Hallie Avolio, and my fabulous, amazing guest today is Odessa Christiana. She is fantastic. I mean, she's wearing a hot pink freaking tutu. Woo, sister. You are rocking my world. If you are listening to this, by the way, on the podcast, you need to make sure to hop over to YouTube so that you can see Odessa's amazingness. She also has a pretty fantastic mannequin in her background. So I'm just saying, this is not just audio this time. You guys are going to want the visual. Trust me. Trust me. And Odessa, I'm going to let you share who you are, your story, what you're all about. But I hear that you've been practicing a little something, something for my sassy listeners. What do you got?
I sure have, Hallie. This is especially for you and all your sassy listeners.
I'm so excited.
You ready for this?
Bring it on.
Right. Let's do it.
That was amazing.
All morning. That's what I've been doing. All morning.
Nailed it. 100% nailed it. That was amazing. Well, as you can clearly see, Odessa is a ton of fun, which is why I wanted to have her on the show this week. And tell us about yourself. Tell us about how fun you are and what makes you a mind stylist extraordinaire. I absolutely love that title, by the way.
Thank you.
By the way.
First of all, thank you for having me on here, Hallie. I have to say, I discovered you, maybe a couple months back or so.
Yeah. And
I've just been following you and your Facebook group and your daily motivation moments. And you have such great energy. And I'm so thankful to be in that energy. And the women in your group, like everybody's just so wonderful and amazing. And I've listened to a few of your podcasts and I'm just loving all of them. So I have to give you kudos for that first.
Thank you so much.
About me. Well, there's a lot of that. I'm turning 50 this year. So it's like, how far back do I go?
Give us the highlights, the best of. I want the best of Odessa.
The best of Odessa. I would say the best of Odessa has been rolling out in this last year, to be perfectly honest with you. I kind of, for years and years and years, I mean, I can go way back probably into my 30s. I was always kind of aware of the law of attraction. Whenever The Secret came out, people were talking about that. Plus, I've had a spiritual connection anyway for most of my life, even if I wasn't really aware of what it was. But in the last year or so, all of this has just kind of like bubbled up to the top. It was just like busted open. And I've just really found ways to step into my power and who I really am and who I want to be and who I want to share with the world. And obviously not giving a flip if I'm going to wave my freak flag and just come off as strange or whatever it is. I used to be so like embarrassed to like be different. And now I'm just embracing that. And I'm just here and I just want to shine and, you know, spread some magic into the world and really just help other people wake up to that possibility within themselves.
I love that. And I mean, we were talking about this before we hit record. And one of the recent podcast episodes we did was called Weird is the New Sexy, right? And we were talking about how we really just have to embrace who we are. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I spent so much of my formative years really just trying to fit in and to blend and to be like everybody else. And I know we haven't met yet in real life, but you know, I'm not somebody that blends in. First of all, look at the mane. I mean, I got like massive hair situation happening. I've got a loud voice. I'm tall. Like I do not freaking blend. It does not happen. And I used to think that that was the only way. And also within about the last year or so, I'm just like, fuck that. I'm going to be me and bring it. And if you like it, cool. And if you don't like it, also cool. Like it's all good.
It's all good.
Right? It's all good. So one thing that you said, you recently said, and I love this, was I live a life that others will never live. Can you talk a little bit about that? What does that mean to you?
Well, others could choose to live it if they really wanted to. But if they just want to just continue being in that pattern without breaking it, without being open to some possibilities and open to change, then they're just going to stay in that whatever it is. You know, somebody would look at my life today and probably be a little bit jealous. I live in a beautiful mid-century home in Palm Springs, California. I have a pink backyard that I had painted pink. I have a pool in the backyard. I have an outdoor bar. I have a vintage trailer in my backyard that we use as a game room. You know, I've got the new Mercedes in the driveway. I've got these things which would look like, oh, she's just this spoiled rich girl. And if you get to know me or just start reading things that I post, you'll know that there's so much more to that story. Oh man, I was raised in a hippie household. You know, we didn't even have running water. I think when my dad built the house I grew up in. I mean, I came from really absolutely nothing. We were very poor. We had a Gravenstein apple tree. And my mom was really great at making applesauce and just making oatmeal and making the food just stretch, you know? And so coming from that upbringing and just kind of like clawing my way over the years and just taking so long to find myself and kind of zipping into the life that I'm in now, it's like, you have to be willing to go through some changes. You have to be willing to do the inner work. It's taken me many years to find the belief in myself that, you know, the worthiness, the belief, the I can do this, the not being afraid.
It's huge. That's huge.
It is.
And to really embrace that and embody that and to live that, you know, living in the moment and not living in fear and not living as a victim. I mean, I talk about that a lot, right? Because that's a cornerstone of my belief is that when you're a victim of your life, you can't really expand and be who you are. And when you really own who you are and you own your life, that's when you have the opportunity to just keep growing and be as expansive as possible.
I was that victim mentality for too many years.
Me too. Me too.
It was just, yeah, I've listened to your podcast episode. That was great. I loved it. But it takes the making the decision to change. And, I post these things daily on my Facebook to just try to jog something in people's heads to just, sometimes I have an offer out there, and sometimes most of the time I'm just talking to them. I'm just trying to help and just to spark a little flame in there somewhere.
Right. No, I love that. And we need that flame, right? We need that inspiration. I mean, I think there's people like us that are the light workers, or however you want to call it, right? The people that are ready to light the flame and to motivate and inspire. And there's others that need to hear it. And when you're confident enough to put it out there and put yourself out there, right? Because in theory, we could get a ton of backlash and people calling us out on all sorts of stuff. But it's not about that, right? It's about if one person hears it and it helps light a fire under them so they can make the choice and make the change to live a better life, then the work is done, or not done, not as in completed, but the work is being done.
It's being done. If you help one person with a post, you've done something huge.
Right.
I started really coming out of my shell and posting these things every day a little over a year ago. And at first I was like, oh gosh, I wonder who's going to see me on here. I just post on my personal Facebook page, all these things. And I just thought something was just in me. And I was just like, I just have to do this. I have to, I am a vessel for this inspiration and this empowerment, and I have to share it. So I started posting, and sometimes it was like, oh God, it's like, who's gonna see?
Right.
And I was really surprised. It's like some people even from high school all of a sudden appear out of nowhere, and are like commenting, oh my gosh, or they're private messaging me, you're such an inspiration. Or they're signing up for like a little mini course I did or whatever. And I'm just like, wow, oh gosh, I could have done this a long time ago, but I wasn't ready.
Right. Right.
You have to be ready.
Absolutely. Was there a moment, because you talked about, this happening within a little past a year ago, was there a key moment that just something triggered you to get going on this?
Yes. Well, a key moment, kind of. I can touch on a couple of different things. I want to say about June of 2018, I was out walking, and I take a walk most days, even when it's hot like crazy here. I was out walking, and all of a sudden, I know it's going to sound kind of woo-woo crazy, but the words manifest abundance just like kept going on replay in my head. Ooh. And I'd been running my home as a vacation rental for a few years in a few different forms. Like we'd done a couple of different property management companies, VRBO, Airbnb. And all of a sudden I just had this light going, I'm going to write a book on how to set up and run a successful vacation rental. And I came home from my walk, and I grabbed a notepad, and I went in our backyard, and I busted out the entire outline of my book that day.
Wow.
And I told my husband when he got home, I'm going to write this book. And he's like, that's awesome. Gosh, you should. I mean, he was so supportive, and I was like, really? Is it awesome? Can I do it? And so it was really through that journey of writing this book, which is so funny to me because it's a practical knowledge kind of book. But it was brought to me from more of like a spiritual connection. Mm-hmm. And so my journey with writing the book, somehow I just started coming across people online, and I kind of discovered this coaching world, this mm-hmm. life coaching world. And, I discovered like Gabby Bernstein and just a handful of other thought leaders that I started following, listening to podcasts, and getting more and more inspired. And I don't know, it all kind of just came together. And then I realized that I also had that power in me to turn around and inspire others to follow their dreams too.
That's awesome. I love that. It's divine intervention or divine inspiration, however you want to call it.
I've gotten a lot better at tuning into that too and really listening to it.
That's something that I've been working on, is just really listening, because it's taken me a long time to quiet all the external noise that comes in. And so for me, it's about really just slowing down, going inward and listening to what are the messages that I'm intended to receive and then intended to communicate outward.
Yeah. And you're doing a great job at that. You really are.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's funny because I've been doing these morning motivation minutes for about, maybe about a year and a half, a little less than that. And at first, I don't even remember where the idea came from. It just kind of came to me. And I would, work on inspiration that would come from different things I was reading or listening to or whatnot. And now I swear these messages, they just come to me. And I'll go and I'll sit usually in my backyard and it's quiet. And in the quiet, I just pause for a moment. I have the camera ready and something just comes to me and it just literally comes out of my mouth. And I feel like I am just this vehicle, like you said, this vessel to communicate whatever it is that is meant to be communicated in that moment. It's pretty cool.
No wonder you're so clear, because you're so sharp and you're so on it and you're so to the point and keeping it just clean and clear and simple. I love that in your message.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think whoever spirits are looking over me or channeling through me or whatever the inspiration is there, because I feel it. I feel that there's this greater magic that's happening. And I know hear that love of the woo woo. So it's great.
It's so, isn't that funny though? The practical and the spiritual,
yes.
Like the connection. It took me a while to start developing who I was and actually call myself a mind stylist, because first, you have all those doubts like, oh, well, who am I to be a life coach or a
right.
mindset coach or whatever you want to call it. And then I started realizing I have a lifetime of experience. Are you
yes.
kidding me? The stories, the things that I've been through, I was doing this stuff before there was Instagram or Facebook or any of it.
Right. Same. I know. Well, I want to talk about one thing that I think you do that's really cool. And I know this is something that you offer to anybody that goes to your website, is about writing a love letter to yourself. And you have a template for it, but kind of reverse engineer this process for me. How did you come to it? What is it about? And why is it important for us to write a love letter to ourselves?
Well, I wanted to offer people something when they arrived at my website, more than just my vacation rental sources. And I plan in the future to include like more kind of spiritual online courses that people can take from me. But I wanted to just put something out there that meant a lot to me, and just steps and things that I've just asked myself and taken myself through. Some years ago, I realized that I was my own best friend. And really getting to that place in yourself and just kind of knowing like what you need and loving yourself and being able to look at that person in the mirror and really honor them and love them and give them what they need. And the love letter was kind of another one of those spiritual things. And I can't even tell you off the top of my head all the questions that are in it, because it was one of those things that just kind of flowed out of me. It was a connection with spirit and connection with myself. And I just wrote out these questions for people to ask themselves, and just decided to put that out there for something that people could do. And just to add to that, I have a dear friend of mine, and she shared something with me a couple weeks ago. She goes, I went on your website and I got your love letter. And I cried when she shared this with me. It was so heartfelt. She said that she spent hours, like into the wee morning, like writing this and just loving it. And then she was supposed to speak to a group about, a personal topic. And she shared with them some of the things that came out of her through this love letter.
Oh.
And I was like, again, we have even, as far along as we get in our journey, we still have these self-doubts. Of course we do. We have that ego talking to us, right?
Yep.
And even as I'm putting it out there, I have these, are people going to think this is stupid? Or be confused because what's this have to do with the vacation rental business or whatever? And, it just has to do with yourself. Right. And I just call it a very great first step at starting to dig in and discover your potential.
I love that. Well, and really you have to start with loving yourself. I mean, I talk about this frequently, and when you love yourself, then you can better love everybody else. You can show up better in all aspects of your life, whether it's your business, whether it's your relationship, whether it's with your family, but you have to start with loving yourself. And it's not something that's talked about enough, I believe. I mean, growing up, that was never a conversation. There was never talk. And I'm not just talking about in my immediate household, but just in the world around me. And growing up, I don't just mean as a child, but even through my 20s, even through my 30s. And that wasn't a topic to say, do you love yourself? And I think it needs to be more of a topic, and we need to take the ego out of it, because it's not about ego or being self-centered. It's about truly opening your heart to who you are, because when you can radically love yourself and radically accept yourself, then I believe you can have that love and you can give that love and acceptance to everyone else. But you cannot do that. And that's why we end up in so much judgment space and negativity, is because we hold the judgment and negativity toward ourselves. Exactly.
It should be a class taught in high school.
Right? It's just a life lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's something to be said also for having to come into it in its time, right? So
divine timing. There's divine timing. I remind myself that when I get really impatient. Come on, I want it now.
Oh my God. That's been the theme of my day today, by the way. So I just had my birthday, and I'm a Leo, and I had an astrology reading done the other day. And one of the things that she told me is that, I've got this massive energy, and I'm very charismatic and a leader and all of these things that I know to be true about myself. But she said, the biggest lesson that I have to learn in my lifetime is patience. And which I know this to be true. And yet I still forget, because even today I reached out to a friend and I was asking her a question. And then she reminded me in her response back was, Hallie, you need to be patient. And that's something that you have to remember. And I was like, duh, like face palm, remembering that I just had this conversation the other day. Of course, I need to be patient. And it's so easy to get caught up in, I want this right now.
It is because we do want it right now. We want all the good stuff right now.
Right. But there's infinite time, right? So that goes back to that abundance mindset. There's no lack of time. There's not a scarcity. We just have to remember that we have all the abundance, and in the abundance mindset, that's when the patience comes in.
Hey, it all works the way it's supposed to. It ended up taking me 2 years to write and publish my book, which I kept getting mad at myself there for a while. And then I finally just realized about a year ago, this is just all happening the way it's supposed to. And I'm on this journey, and I'm not going to rush it. It's like, if something isn't working, if it's just not working, you just have to just try something else. Just don't push it. Like, I like things now to be easy, fun and easy. I talk about it all the time. Fun and easy, get flowy.
Yeah. Get flowy. I love it. I love it. So I want to know some of your practices, some of your tips that you can offer to this audience, because, there's lots of different ways to handle mindset and mindfulness and to get in the flow, right? But I think each of us has a little bit of a different approach. So talk to me about some of the different ways that you practice mindset and mindfulness just in your daily life that you can offer that others might implement themselves.
I love to talk to myself. Really, though.
Well, you're your best friend, so it's perfect.
I am. But when I first started doing the things that I do, it felt a little weird at first, so I get it. Almost everybody has an iPhone today, right? So you have that thing called voice memo or voice journal or whatever on there. I call it voice journal. And I just started talking to myself when I was out walking. It just sometimes just thoughts like, about more like ideas, but then it started kind of up leveling. And then it's almost like my higher self kind of like comes through. And sometimes I literally talk to myself more like in third person. I'm like, Odessa, remember, this is awesome. And, I'll like go on, so now I have like hundreds of voice journals to myself. And I talk about this sometimes in my posts. I think that that's like a really great way to connect with yourself. I mean, to really start connecting with yourself, you have to get used to yourself. You have to look in the mirror. You have to listen to your voice. You have to look at your body. You have to start doing these things and get comfortable in your own skin, or else it's not going to work, right? And actual journaling too, physical journaling. I've been doing it for years, but I started doing it consistently every day a while back. And I literally get up in the morning and I get my coffee. And if I don't have to answer anything right away, that's when I journal. I just sit down. Sometimes it's a half a page and sometimes it's several pages. If you don't know what to say, you can start by just brain dumping. Oh, I'm so irritated at so-and-so right now. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be peace, love, happy all the time. You can be pissed off. It's okay. I hate COVID. Whatever.
Yes.
But just start. And when you start journaling, it's like you tap into something. And when I talk about digging deeper, it's like that's kind of what I mean. It's like other ideas, other things start coming up that you might not even realize were quite there or so close to the surface. And you'll be led. So those are a couple things that I really love to do for myself.
That's a great practice. And you've told me the voice memo before and I forgot it until you just brought it back up, but it's so great. So I'm curious, do you go back and listen to them?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. When I'm walking, I'll listen to a podcast. Like I've been listening to yours.
Right.
I have a handful of other people that I enjoy listening to that just kind of, get me in that kind of motivated space. But I also balance it out by listening to myself. And I'll usually go back maybe a few weeks or maybe just a couple of days sometimes and just kind of see what I had to say. But then sometimes I'll go way back and I'll go, oh, wow. And then it's really kind of fun because it's like, oh, honey, it's like you've come a long way.
Yeah.
I can see the growth there. And I talk about my accomplishments too. So it's really a great way to give yourself kudos. Like, oh, I actually got the book published finally. Whatever.
I think that's fantastic. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll listen to something that I've said at some point in the past. And I'm like, damn girl, you know what you're talking about. And I feel really good about myself. So then I get like this whole new sense of encouragement and positivity coming my way. So it's great.
Precisely. It's really good. It's like you're your own counselor. You're your own coach, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's great.
So I know one of your big themes in life is making magic in your life. So I want to know, what is something that's feeling really magical for you right now?
Oh gosh. There's just so much. Okay. I was out for a walk today and I like to kind of create an analogy with myself because I've been working on a lot of different things that are more practical on a practical level, like getting a YouTube channel in place, like foundational things of building my business. So I was literally looking at them like, I am literally pouring this foundation. I'm putting up the beams, but I'm getting really, really close to being able to just decorate the house. And for me, decorating the house is just going to be creating more and more content. I've discovered that I have a knack for writing. I love to write. So I want to add a blog to my website and just talk about life and all the things that we're talking about and share stories. I'm going to release another book that's it's more of a cookbook. And it's kind of COVID inspired because it's things that my husband and I haven't been out to eat in, how many months now. And every single night we make some kind of a healthy dinner at home. So this will be kind of health and Odessa's fun little recipes. And just all these pieces are just kind of unfolding. And I've just been so inspired during this time. Sad on some levels because obviously things are weird, but then so excited about just all the things that keep coming to me. And we talked about those spiritual downloads and it's almost like, okay, hang on just a sec. I got to get caught up here. I can only type and learn to do all this stuff so fast.
Right. Well, you definitely have a lot of magical energy and just your aura coming off of you is really amazing. Just from the first time we connect, I was like, I have got to know this woman because she is like fire and magic and sparkles and pink tutus, and I love it. And I love it. So
awesome. Thank you. I can't wait till we can actually get together in person. We're gonna have
I'm going to be visiting that pink backyard of yours because that has my name written all over it.
Totally. Oh, you'll love it.
I can't wait. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Odessa. Where can everybody connect with you? How can they write their love letter? And what else do you want to share before we sign off today?
Connect with me. Facebook is like my most loved platform, but I'm also on Instagram, and I'm just Odessa Christiana. My Facebook page, I think, is Odessa Christiana Life. My website, odessachristiana.com. If you go to the homepage of my website and just scroll down past the crazy picture of me playing guitar, you'll find the love letter template to sign up for. YouTube, just started the YouTube channel, got some good stuff coming there. So just Odessa Christiana, go to my website. That's probably the easiest. And then all of my little social medias are there.
Perfect.
And other than that, Hallie, I just want to say thank you, not only for having me on here, but just for everything that you do. I just know that you are making such a difference in this world and inspiring people. And, you know, it takes an army of people like us out there sprinkling our magic dust all over the place.
Yes, absolutely. It does. And I'm just so honored. You know, I love the connections that have been made and just the way that even you and I came together. It's so cool because there's really like no particular reason that you and I should have met, right? But obviously there was this divine intervention that brought us together, and we are, you know, kindred spirits, and I love that. And so to me, that just fills my heart and it makes me so happy. And knowing that you're out there doing your thing and making people feel good and happy and having fun and joy, like that just fills my heart so much. So I'm so grateful and appreciative for knowing you, for having you here today, for letting you share your light and your magic. And I can't wait until we can have some fun together too.
We will, for sure.
For sure.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Have a great, you have a great rest of the day. Thank you everyone here for watching. So great to have you as always on the Sassy AF audio experience and Sassy AF TV. Look forward to seeing you next time with more sassy fun, all the good things that you want and more. Talk to you soon. Bye. Talking to Odessa lights me up and gives me inspiration to keep creating more content just for you. After listening to this episode, what are you inspired to start doing? Thanks again for being here and tuning in for another episode of Sassy AF TV and the Sassy AF audio experience. It would mean the world to me if you would leave a comment and take a screenshot to share it with your tribe on Instagram or Facebook. Don't forget to tag me at Sassy Healthy Fit. Then make sure to head over to sassyhealthy.fit and sign up for our mailing list so you always know the latest and greatest in sassy fun. See you next time.